All right. What is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Super excited for today's video. We got to talk about the metals. All right. Now, there's been a big rally in metals, and it's not in just gold. Okay. If you actually take a look at the copper futures, we've got a nice base here breaking out above this key level of $4. All right. We will take a look at GLD. We'll take a look at SLV, of course, talk about the setups in gold and silver. I just did a video dedicated to those, but we're going to cover some other topics here as well, such as uranium. Okay. This is URA right here, and platinum as well. This is PLTM on the verge of a breakout. And then we've got XME, which is a metals and mining ETF, appearing to put in another higher low here. We'll see if it can break out past this $61 level. And then there is Alcoa, ticker symbol AA. This is one of the one of the top holdings in XME that looks a little bit better than some of the others, right? If you look at X, which is Steel Corp, huge bearish weekly candle. All right, and one of their other top holdings, huge weekly bearish candle. This one looks like it's trying to build a base. Doesn't show the most strength, obviously, but maybe this one can play a little bit of a catch-up trade. We'll break down these things a little bit more detail. And then All-Star Charts did some really good, put out some really good stuff on palladium futures. So we'll take a look at all of their charts, break it down. And then I've got a nice, little simple one here as well. This one looks ready. It looks ready for sure. So we'll break down all of these in today's video. It's going to be a good one. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. But as always, the content provided on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. And if you're new to the channel, I started a completely free newsletter for you guys called Investment Intelligence, giving out free valuable finance content, trading content related to the markets. And I try to sprinkle in a free trade idea in there every single week. There is a website associated with it, so you can go back, read some of the previous articles. We saw that energy was the top performing sector in the S&P 500 this past week. And, I've been hinting at this rotation into energy over the past 2 weeks. That's been the topic of the newsletters, and we're seeing some nice profits on a lot of our energy trades. Now, if you want full access to all my different analysis, all my different trade ideas, custom scripts, indicators, valuable resources, such as being able to see gamma levels, dark pool levels, you guys can join the Investment Intelligence Discord. Okay. It's only $10 a month. And in there, you get access to all of those features that I just described, and many more. Now, let's go ahead and start off here with copper. Okay. Good old Dr. Copper. Now, this is a really impressive move here. Okay. We had, a small base over here, strong rally up to the 4.35 area, and we've pulled back, consolidated, and we formed close to a year-long base. Okay. So this is a pretty long base right here. This is a daily time frame. And the larger the base is, okay, they often say the larger, the rip in your face, right? Or the larger the move into space. And we're just now breaking above the key level of 4.0365. So I think that is a good risk management level. Below there, maybe you don't necessarily want to touch it. But above 4.0365, I think we're going to be coming back up to retest this zone here, okay, between 4.25 to about 4.375, right? If we were to just come in here and try and draw a little bit of a trend line, okay, you can see that there was a really nice breakout that we had. All right, and we're moving higher now. Not the best trend line, but just something, just draw quickly off the top of my head, right? Maybe we can do something like this. Looks a little bit better. But we're seeing a clean breakout, retest, push higher. We've got the base. We got above the key zone here of 3.86. All right, and we're able to hold above there and break out past 4.0365. Really, really quick move that we saw. I mean, this was, basically in a week, copper pushed up very, very hard. So that's one of the first metals, right, that we're looking at. All right, good old Dr. Copper, very strong move above 4.03. I think this can head higher. Now, this is GLD. This is the gold ETF. Right now, this has a nice multi-year base. This is a weekly time frame, so this is a much larger base, right? The breakout is just beginning. We printed an inside bar candle on GLD. All right, and typically you would look to play the breakout to the upside, on these inside candlesticks, on these inside bar candles. This can be a bullish setup. We'll just have to see if we can get bullish follow through or if we pull back. Now, remember, this is just the beginning of the move. Okay, so oftentimes you can see these false moves, little false breakouts, right? And it's very possible this could be a little bit of a false breakout. or this could turn into a breakout retest and then push higher. Okay, so there's a few different scenarios that we have here, right? This thing doesn't just have to go directly up. Now, ultimately, I'm bullish on gold, and I think that we're going to head up to the 220 area. But that doesn't mean it has to go, in a straight line. Okay, so keep that in mind. There's a few different scenarios, right? I mean, we talked about a breakout retest, push higher, right? We could just see some healthy consolidation sideways, or we can just continue to stair step up higher and continue to make these higher lows. So there's different ways to play it. And I think your time frame is going to be very important. Remember, this is a weekly chart, so it's not like it's going to hit this price target next week or within a few days. The odds of that are very unlikely. It's usually going to take, probably a couple or a few months for this to develop, if not closer to a year. All right. But ultimately, the setup looks very great, right? We're finally breaking out, finally showing that nice strength out of a large base here. And ultimately, I think GLD can head up to the 220s, right? Now, SLV is another one. When I did my dedicated gold and silver video, I said, hey, you know what? Silver is a little bit more attractive to me over here, rather than the miners, okay? The gold miners specifically, because the gold miners have really just been underperforming, right? And you think of them as a high beta play. So if gold is moving, rapidly, and gold has a strong move to the upside, you would expect the gold miners to have an even more rapid move to the upside. But really, that hasn't been the case lately. Now, silver had some good follow through and came up. Also had a very strong past couple of weeks, but we did close right here at this key trend line, right? We kind of poked above a little bit, but ultimately we closed right at that trend line. So we're going to be looking to see if silver can break out ultimately above 23.5. Okay, above 23.5. I like silver to head back up to 28, and kind of just using this area as a little bit of a mental or a hard stop loss, right? Above 23, targeting 25. Maybe you can have a stop loss at 23 or 22 to give you a nice little risk to reward ratio there at those levels. This is URA. This is your uranium ETF. Yet again, another one here on a weekly time frame with a very large base. We came up, and there's a couple ways you could look at this, right? All right. This is a little bit of a false breakout, over here that we saw. I don't know why my drawing was so bad, and I just drew that completely off of where it was. But we have a little bit of a false breakout right here, and these false moves tend to lead to fast moves, and we very quickly came back down. And what did we do? Well, we retested a key zone that we've tested many times before. And so for uranium, above 26.29, I like this one for longs. Okay, and we're going to be targeting the previous highs here of 31.59. There's some overhead supply in that area. Now, another way that you can look at this is one big cup right here, this move, and now we're pulling back, and this could potentially be our handle. So even if we pull back and consolidate a little bit more, and even go below that 26.29 level, if we really start to see a nice little bottom form through here, that's going to be our handle. And then we're going to be looking for the cup and handle breakout, which, the cup and handle is one of the most commonly known chart patterns. So, I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with it, and it offers a good risk to reward setup there as well. So I'll be looking to see how uranium, develops. Doesn't necessarily look the best. I do like that we've been bouncing off of this key zone through here. But some of these other ones have been showing a little bit more strength, right? Now, this is platinum. Okay, platinum is very close to breaking a weekly downtrend. We came back up and tapped it. It also looks like it's trying to build a base. Platinum above 9.29. I like this to head back up towards 9.96. Right, so not huge numbers there, but ultimately a trade is a trade, a setup is a setup, and we're not necessarily looking to find $100 moves, all right, especially when you're looking at the percentages. So, this is what I'll be watching on platinum. Again, above 9.29. We're looking to see if we can get some longs, break out this downtrend, and head up towards that $10 area, right around 996. And then this is going to be XME. Now, I've actually traded this one a few times this year, and it's been something pretty nice. I really don't mind trading XME. And we closed exactly at our fib level here today, which is basically going to be about 56.50. So, if this can build a higher low right here, and we can, and this can be a low, Again, I like this one for longs above 56.50. All right. And you kind of use that as your stop loss, hard stop, mental stop, or maybe you want to adjust it a little bit lower. And then we're going to be targeting 61. Okay. And above 61, we're going to be retesting old overhead supply, which is going to be right around 66, basically 65 to 66.73. So some nice potential here on this one if it can break out and make another higher high. Okay. Because overall, we were on a downtrend, right? We were putting in highs, lower highs. But since then, we've started to put in, the lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, high, higher high, higher high. If we can break out past this zone and come back and retest these key levels, that will be yet again another higher high to continue this uptrend now that we have started on a smaller time frame, on a shorter time frame in the XME. And then we mentioned we were going to talk about AA. Here's what I'm looking at on AA. So these purple lines are what's known as the anchored volume weighted average price. Okay. And the way you can think of these is, when you're above it, it kind of lets you know that the average buyer is in profit, that bulls are in control. When you're below it, the average bear is in profit and, bears are a little bit in control. And we've got an anchored VWAP to the 2022 highs here, and we've got an anchored VWAP here to the 2023 lows. And we are trading above the lows, above the anchored VWAP to the lows, and also back in this key zone, this little key level here. So we're going to see if we can get some follow through and head back up to 36.50. But once we clear 36.50 on this chart, we got to be mindful of our anchored VWAP here. That's going to be drifting closer down towards $40, $39 by the time we see this move potentially. If it does break 36.50, you want to be very mindful of that, okay? Because this can act as a little bit of a resistance area, right? You can see over here, we had many false attempts to break out. We had lots of false moves. Those false moves lead to fast moves, and you see a rapid decline in price with AA. So that's something that I'll be monitoring and looking for. You could even, if you wanted to just be patient, you can look to trade a break above 36.52 and then buy into some strength and look to have that as a little bit of a stop loss area where you say, hey, below 36.50, I'm not too interested in it. Above 36.50, I want to see if we can reclaim the anchored VWAP as support and come up towards this 44.83 area. Above there, we're looking at 51.72 and then 58.29. Those are going to be your targets here for AA. And then we're going to look at palladium here. Okay, so this chart is going back about 50 years. You can see, a few bases. And now we're wondering, hey, is this going to be potentially a base here, right? There's this key zone. And what I really like is that they highlighted this false move here. Again, just kind of reiterating that point that, hey, these false moves tend to lead to fast moves. And that's exactly what we saw. And we see resistance, resistance again, support, support once again. And that's right around 842. So above 842, this does look good for longs. Potential downtrend here that we're trying to break out. The next target is going to be 1332.626. Okay, that's going to be your next level area that you'll be looking for on the palladium futures. Now, if you take a look at this, all right, this is their traditional COT report. All right. And, the reason you're kind of looking at this is we're going to combine, the chart analysis over, the past decade and combine it with this. Okay. And so whenever we see that, we have these little bit of a bottoms here. Okay. And then we've got tops here and we start to see a decline in this, it tends to lead to a rally in this. And, we've seen that a few times here and it resulted in 64, 150 and 240% moves. And now we're seeing a very similar setup, right? So if this is going to be a bottom and we're going to start seeing a decline in this, then maybe potentially we can start to see a really strong move, right? As this suggests, anywhere from 64% to 150 to 240, based on some of the last times that we've seen some of these signals, right? Now, it also has a little bit of a correlation to the NASDAQ 100, all right? And we're going to do that via QQQ. Okay. But take a look at this where they both bottomed, right? And then had a strong rally, both bottomed again during the pandemic, right? And then we see palladium barely made higher highs, really just kind of went sideways. The NASDAQ went higher. They both topped right around the same area. But now we've seen this major divergence. Okay. And we've seen that palladium futures have just been going down, not following their historic correlation with the NASDAQ 100, with tech stocks via QQQ. And those have been making new all-time highs. Meanwhile, palladium futures are hitting a 5-year low. So the question now is, well, are tech stocks about to roll over and follow palladium futures, or could palladium futures be due for a catch-up trade and be due for a little bit of a rally here, as some of these previous charts have suggested? Right, then we have this trend line here. Looks very close to potentially breaking out. All right, there's another one right here, a nice little chart showing a bottom. Now we're going to look at the RSI here, okay? And on the RSI, we've got something known as a bullish divergence, okay? That's where you have a low here, right? And we have a low on the price. And then we actually create a higher low on the RSI, but a lower high, or I'm sorry, a lower low on the ETF right here, PAL, PALL, okay? And so what this means is that we're increasing in relative strength as price is going down. Oftentimes this can be, a leading indicator, potentially just some future price action. Again, it's known as bullish divergence, and we're very close to breaking out of this trend line right here. Really, if we can get above 50 on the RSI, that's going to be a good look that, hey, now we're going to be into positive strength territory on the RSI, and potentially we can head up a little bit more in palladium. So, this is a nice little pattern here. We kind of already missed this move, so I don't want to focus on it too much. Inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, right shoulder, head, break through the neckline here, strong move up. This is what I'm looking at here currently, okay? So this is a weekly time frame, all right? And what I like here is that we had this initial downtrend on the RSI. We got a breakout here, right? We had this strong move. We came up, rejected this trend line, and headed back down. But when we did that and when we bottomed here recently, okay, what did we do? We actually retested that trend line and bounced. So it's a very textbook breakout, retest, push higher. We have a bullish crossover on the MACD. So the white line is trading above the white line. That happened right over here just after we bounced off of that trend line here. And we've already tested this trend line on the candlesticks 1, 2, 3. Now this is a 4th time. I think if we can clear this and get above 106, our next target here is going to be 124. Okay, and above 124, we're going to be targeting the 150 to about 160 zone. That's an area where we had a false breakdown before in the past over here. We had a little bit of that oops, right? And those false moves lead to fast moves. And ultimately that put in our top in 2022. And since then, it's been a very long downtrend. We're going to see if we can break this most recent downtrend and again, head up to that 124 area and above there, targeting 150 to about 160. Okay, so, this is what I'm looking at right now in the market. Okay, I've also been looking at materials. Materials and energy are showing some signs that rates could be heading higher. Okay. Now, higher rates do have the tendency to sometimes impact gold. And, I know it impacts gold negatively sometimes. I'm not too positive on the relationship between all of these other ETFs and all of these other precious metals. But that is something to consider, right? So you want to pay attention to treasury yields, pay attention to the dollar. Typically, if yields of the dollar are going higher, it can sometimes be a headwind for things like gold. So keep that in mind. Now, don't forget to join the Discord. Okay, these are some screenshots of some previous plays that we've put in over the past couple weeks. This one had a nice falling wedge and a cup and handle that resulted in some very nice options returns. Intel, there was also a large order block of basically 1.5 million shares at $43. It came back down to this key zone. It tested, over 5 times. And it was below 43. So we got into that very good risk management play, risking, a couple dollars. And those options also paid off very well. So if you want to join the Discord, remember the link is in the description. It's $10 a month. That's where you get access to all my different analysis, trade ideas, as well as many other things. And the newsletter is completely free. So you can check out the website or you can just sign up directly for it and have those sent directly to your inbox. There's links in the description for all of that, as well as my Ko-Fi page. This is where you guys can book one-on-one sessions with me. And, if you have a bunch of questions, you want to go over some swing trading strategies, some day trading dynamics, you click on the Ko-Fi page, go to the commissions tab, and you can book a 30-minute or a 1-hour session. They also have this really cool buy a coffee button basically a way to leave a tip or donation for the free valuable content I put out, such as the YouTube videos and the newsletter. And if you ever want to request a specific YouTube video on a topic of your choice, you can click on the commissions tab there as well, and you'll find it in there also to request a video. And you can leave a nice little detailed request going over everything it is that you would like me to cover, rather than leaving a YouTube comment and it getting lost in the comment section somewhere. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed today's video, most likely I think you're going to enjoy this next video right here. So be sure to click on that one.